I'm bored. Let's watch Jesterbell. All right, fam. So it has been a hot minute since we watched a Jesterbell video. So I thought we'd kick off the week with one. This is about Starfleet Academy. And the Starfleet Academy stuff is really interesting to me because it's very obvious, and I've said this so many times, how they're selecting their targets, because there's so little out there to pick from that it seems like they're just kind of getting fixated on one thing and one thing only. Like there's not a lot of diversity in their targets. So they're kind of just going after Starfleet Academy, which is, it's funny to me because there's honestly not a lot to complain about on the show. I get it if you don't like it. It's not going to be everybody's show, but they're just making things up to get mad about. Now, I just picked the most recent Starfleet Academy video on her channel, so I haven't looked back to see how many other ones she's made, but I know she's made more than one for sure. I don't know how many, but she has made more than one. So let's see what she has to say here. Also, it's kind of weird, people who say they hate it that are still reviewing it. That's kind of weird because they don't have to. You don't have to watch it. We've seen it. The world is not going to fall apart if you choose not to watch a movie or a TV show. Let's go.
Hi, everyone. Jesterbell, female Frodo Baggins, is back. And I got something wrong in my last video on Starfleet Academy. I apologize. In my last video on Starfleet Academy, I laid claim that there were 5 gay characters in Starfleet Academy.
So that's another, I didn't talk about this on the video where I reacted to like Az and the F&T guys. They keep talking about like all of these out characters on the show. There's only 2 gay characters like confirmed in the series. There's 2 lesbians in the series. None of the other characters have been confirmed to be gay or bi or anything like that. Not in practice. We haven't seen it and nobody's talked about it. So I don't know why they keep trying to make this a thing. We don't know yet. As of now, where we're at, like we're coming into like episode 5, I think, we don't know if these characters are gay or not. No one's talked about that stuff. It's like a boogeyman. They keep talking about it like it's going to pop out of the mirror or out of the shadows or something. It's really weird.
Listed them out. This character, this character, this character, this character, and this character.
Okay, so only 2 of these 5 characters are actually gay. Like in the show as of right now, as of the time of me making this video. Could some of them eventually come out with another sexuality later? Yeah, sure. But as of right now, there's only 2 of them that are out. The rest of them, we don't know enough about them yet. At least romance-wise.
But I was wrong. There are not, in fact, 5 gay characters in Starfleet Academy.
This is sarcasm.
No.
This is sarcasm.
I missed a couple, because apparently something that I missed in the last episode of Starfleet Academy is that the Klingon, Jaden, yes, that is his name, and he is a sensitive Klingon who is studying to become a doctor, who is a pacifist who doesn't want to kill animals in a futuristic time where they don't even have to kill animals because all of their food can just be replicated.
That doesn't mean that he can't hold that position. He can still be a pacifist. He can still have those feelings and those beliefs, whether replicators exist or not. It doesn't matter. You can still hold that position. What a dumb complaint.
He is gay, and it turns out...
He is not gay. He is not gay. Unless there's something I've missed on the show where he explicitly said he is gay, I don't know. This is why all the complaints about Stranger Things was so infuriating to me. These folks pretend that being gay isn't a big deal and that we don't need to know about it. And that if they don't talk about it and it just kind of happens, then that's okay. But that's not the real position they have. So we're looking at a show now that takes place thousands of years into the future, and they still have an issue with gay people. Before, with Stranger Things, it was unbelievable. Even Jesterbell had this position. It's unbelievable that somebody would be out and gay in the 80s because of all of the negative, public opinions about gay people. But here we have a future where we have aliens and all kinds of atypical relationships, things like that happen. You have all this going on, and they still have an issue with gay people or bi people or even trans people in this world. So even if the show were to, present to us Jaden in a relationship with some other guy on the show, they'd still have an issue with it because he would still be a gay character. So that's why the whole coming out scene in Stranger Things was so weird to me, that they were so mad that they actually said it, considering that it was alluded to throughout the entirety of the series. But here, they are gay-vestigating characters on the show. This scene is funny to me This scene is funny to me because a lot of people said they thought that something was going to happen romantic. And honestly, the show could have gone there. This would have been the perfect opportunity if they wanted to, in fact, show that Jaden was into guys. They could have done it here. But they didn't. They stepped back from it and they didn't do anything with it. And we're also dealing with people, these two characters are not human. So their interactions with each other aren't going to always look like what humans would look like when it comes to how close they're going to be and what kind of bonds they have. But all of this is too high-brained for these guys. It's all too high-brained for them.
In the show, he was actually supposed to have 2 fathers and 1 mother.
Okay.
Yes, I missed this in the last episode, and I sincerely apologize because I lost. I didn't.
Well, that means that you weren't paying enough attention. It was actually a pretty big like the episode focused on his family, so the fact that you didn't realize that is a pretty big issue.
Get the count right, but yes, Jaden is supposed to have 2 fathers and 1 mother in what is called a triad family.
Okay.
Apparently, this is such a frequent thing in the Klingon Empire that they even have an official name for it.
Okay.
Now, this merely
What's
gets a mention in the episode, but it was celebrated by the website Polygon that says, why Starfleet Academy turned Klingons into polyamorous refugees.
And yes, I know I mispronounced polyamorous relationships throughout this video, but I don't care.
The show's latest episode redefines what it...
It's really funny to be so angry about something that you didn't even know how to pronounce because you probably had to look it up afterwards. So you're mad about something that you didn't even know anything about. That's pretty fucking crazy.
Means to be a Klingon warrior. And in this article, we get an explanation from the writers of this show as to what they were doing with this redefinition of the Klingons and why they wanted to have this polyamorous family, because apparently Jaden comes from a family where 3 adults have hooked up together. The showrunner says...
Wait, hold on. We don't know that for sure. We don't know the ins and outs, pardon the expression there, the ins and outs of their sexual relationship. So this is a fundamental misunderstanding of polyamory. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding. There are polyamorous couples where there's 3 of them and they have relationships in a way where 2 of them have relationships with 1 individual and the other 2 do not have relationships with each other. So like they're not all having sex with each other at the same time. Could there be polyamorous couples where that happens? Yes. Could there be polyamorous couples where they all kind of have fun together and stuff? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not always the case. Some polyamory just means multiple partners, meaning that the partners can hook up with each other in a different way, but that doesn't mean that all of them get together and have sex with each other. So that's just a fundamental misunderstanding of polyamory. Let's go back to the video here so I don't want to miss anything here. But yeah, that's a misunderstanding of what polyamory is.
The definition of the Klingons and why they wanted to have this polyamorous family, because apparently Jaden comes from a family where 3 adults have hooked up together. The showrunner says, there are a lot of folks alive in the world right now, and there always have been, who have 3 parents.
Oh, you're so stupid. You're so stupid.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
We put our heads together when we were writing the episode, and we said there are going to be people in our audience who have never seen their kind of family before on screen. So why don't we do that? Klingons are fun. They seem like the sort of people who wouldn't hold back from having a 3-parent household.
I mean, are you just going to ignore all the religions that have polyamory in them? Fundamentalist Mormons have it. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think some Hinduism contains polyamory. Islam, some of that is polyamorous. So there are, and that's just the religious aspect of it. There's also cultural places where polyamory is very common. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be widespread. It doesn't mean that everyone under the sun has to be polyamorous, but polyamory is on the swing up. That like people are seeing, we're seeing more and more polyamorous relationships exist in modern society. Now, you can pretend in your little safe space bubble that that's not the case. I'm not into polyamory. It's not something that I'm into. But I have friends that are in polyamorous relationships, and I know people online who are in polyamorous relationships, whether religious or not. So the fact that you're just kind of brushing that aside is so weird to me that you didn't bother to research on Google, hey, how common are polyamorous relationships, and is there any cultural or religious reasons why people would be polyamorous? You didn't even bother to do that before you made this video. What an idiot. What an idiot.
Writers, you can just say it's your fetish.
I mean, it's a cultural and religious thing in some communities. Also, you're erasing the fact that some families have a situation where parents get divorced and one parent doesn't get remarried. And so you have a kid who has a mom and a dad and then another dad. And that dad is still part of their life, even if he's not living in the house with them. So that is also a different type of triad relationship where the child is experiencing that connection between their families. So, like, there's a lot of different ways to look at this. Not everything is a fetish. Even if it is, who gives a fuck? But in the article, it seems like they were just trying to showcase a different type of relationship that we're seeing now in the world in a big way, which is fine.
It's okay.
Okay. Now that I'm being exposed to this new information, once again, I apologize for getting it wrong and missing this in my last episode review, but I do have to address a couple things about this. Now, where do I start with this insanity? And that's what it is. So first of all, let's just talk about it from the perspective of being a Star Trek fan and who the Klingons are. Here's the thing, and I was having a conversation the other day with my sister, who's a huge Star Trek fan. She's a big...
Oh, her sister is a big Ben Shapiro shill. So I'm pretty sure that conversation went as, the same way you would expect it to go with somebody who has that kind of ideology.
You're a Star Trek fan than I am. And, with this Klingon Jaden being a gay Klingon, we discussed, would there be any gay Klingons? Because Klingons are supposed to be a very patriarchal society, very, what we would refer to as toxically masculine in today's terms. Would there be any gay Klingons? And we came to the conclusion that yes, there would be gay Klingons, but it would just be in a certain way. It would be very, very aggressive and forceful. So the idea of there being a gay Klingon, I don't think that in and of itself is impossible.
Well, first of all, no one in that scenario is gay, right? Like, none of them. So Jaden, so we have his brother who was not gay as far as we know. Jaden has not openly discussed being gay. The two dads are with a woman, so they're not gay. At the most, they're either bi or pansexual if you believe they're all together in the relationship. And then if they're not, they would still be straight. There would be two straight men sharing a wife. So no one in that situation is gay. So what is this, what conversation, like, what's the point of this conversation?
For the lore of Star Trek. However, there is a certain way that the Klingon Empire was written. And when you say that, well, Klingons are fun, of course they'd have a 3-parent household. First of all, this is not, I just want to be clear, and I'm doing this off the cuff, ladies and gentlemen, and I literally did not read the last bit of that article until making this video, so this is my live reaction to that. But guys, with that whole thing about Klingons are fun, they seem like the sort of people who wouldn't hold back from having a 3-parent household. This is not being done because they want to be inclusive of other people's families. For all the kids out there who have 2 dads and 1 mom, all married together, living in the same household, because there's a lot of that. There's see it all the time. It happens all the time. You just
doesn't matter if it happens all the time. It could be one group. Like, what difference does that make? It's a TV show about spaceships and aliens. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the standard is, but it doesn't have to be widespread. It could literally be one household.
Just want to be inclusive. No, this whole 3-way thing, this is someone's fetish. This is someone's fetish.
And you say that with no proof. You're just assigning this to someone. In the article, they were speaking to someone else about it. They had no reason to lie. They weren't talking to Jesterbell. It wasn't like, quick, come up with a lie. We're talking to Jesterbell. Like, what would be their reason to lie about it in the context of the article? They weren't being pressed about it. They weren't talking to godjesus.com. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
And you see a lot of that in the show. You see that with Holly Hunter's character and her foot fetish. What, you thought it was a coincidence? We were constantly getting scenes of...
So you, like... it's really weird to me that this community is so quick to fetishize everything when the group that they say is creating fetishes, which would be my side of the community, why wouldn't we just come out and say it? Right? I mean, like, if we were trying to capitalize on fetish stuff, we would just say it. They would joke about it. This side, like, her group gets mad about this stuff when people say things honestly. So there's no, like, you can't, We can't tell you the truth because you're just going to make something up and say, oh, well, it must be a fetish. Because this is how they think. This is how their minds work. They're telling on themselves.
Holly Hunter's feet out, Holly Hunter's feet right in front of the camera, Holly Hunter's feet pushed in your face. Yeah, there's definitely fetishes behind the scenes in the show. But the idea here that
just say you have a foot fetish. Isn't that how this works? You just assume things about people? Like, I guess Jesterbell has a foot fetish because she's been very hyper fixated on the feet on the screen. So must be a foot fetish. I don't care what she says. I don't care what she says about it. Whatever she says isn't true. It's okay, Jesterbell. Just say you have a fetish. It's all right.
Would be regular for Klingons to have 2 dads and 1 mom in the same household. No. The Klingons were a very, very patriarchal society. And if
this is such a stupid take. The United States is considered a patriarchy. And polyamory exists in the United States. There's historical evidence that polyamory existed in other patriarchal societies. We know it exists in religions that are highly steeped in the patriarchy. So this entire argument that it wouldn't exist for Klingons because of patriarchy is just false. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how patriarchy functions when it comes to polyamorous relationships. When you have 2 men and 1 wife, or multiple wives. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of that.
Going off of the notion that Klingons are near extinction, no. Then everything would be geared toward how do we repopulate the Klingon species. It would be very forced.
Do you know what the percentages is between men and women in the Klingon world? Did they explain that? Because you're talking about species extinction. Do we know, is it 3 men for every 1 woman, or is it off balance? Is it 5 women for every 2 men? We don't know what that is. So the foundation of your argument here doesn't work because you are missing the math that you need to argue your position. You don't have those numbers.
It would be all about how do we repopulate the species. Maybe you would have Klingons with multiple wives, and I'm not saying that's right either. I'm just saying that this idea that you're going to have
that would still be polyamory, though. You know what I'm saying? See how stupid this is? If you had one Klingon man with 3 wives, that's still polyamory. Okay.
2 Klingon fathers and 1 mother is just absurd. But here's what's going on here. This is nothing to do with how Klingons are in terms of this fictional race in the fictional world of Star Trek, because we understood who they were, a very patriarchal, toxically masculine society, very masculine society. I don't think
you keep saying that. I don't necessarily know if I would classify the culture that way, considering they're such an alien race to us. You keep saying it. I don't know why you keep calling them toxic. Do you view them that? I mean, I can understand if you viewed them that way. If that's your talking point, I can understand. But you're assigning that to them based on what, people in another group would call them. I don't necessarily know if Jesterbell would view them that way.
Well, I do think that it's possible for there to be gay Klingons. I don't think such a thing as 2 fathers, 1 mom in a household would be the norm for them, because I think that
It doesn't have to be the norm. Did they say it was the norm in the article? Starts right here. They introduce a Klingon triad. Jaden has 2 fathers and a mother. It's just another way the show is holding a mirror up to the modern world. There are a lot of folks alive in the world right now, and there always have been, who have 3 parents in our world. This is what they're saying. We put our heads together when we were writing the episode, and we said there are going to be people in our audience who've never seen their kind of family before on screen, so why don't we do it? Klingons are fun. They seem like the sort of people who wouldn't hold back from having a 3-parent household. So nowhere in there do they make it seem like it's the norm or that it's extremely common, or they didn't make a statement about that at all. So this is you just adding on to what you read to craft your own narrative.
In a very patriarchal society, would be very much geared towards repopulating their species and going forward on that level. I don't see it being on the regular for them to have, AKA triad.
Well, it's good that they didn't say that. I mean, you're arguing a position that they didn't make. So it's really cool to straw man, I guess.
Houses as they've made it up here. Yeah, this is just the writer's fantasy about this, and I think that the Klingons.
Hey, fun fact: all of these things are writers' fantasies. You know what I'm saying? Like these are shows about aliens and traveling through space and everything. It's literally the category for this kind of stuff would be some form of fantasy. Sci-fi / fantasy is what these would be categorized as. So yes, all of these things are fantasies. I know you're trying to turn it into a fetish thing, but the reality is everything in the show is made up based on the imagination and desires of the person writing the episode. Glad I could help with that.
They're getting it because the Klingons were such a patriarchal society and they want to subvert everything. That's why they are the society within Star Trek that has to become more sensitive and have, two fathers, one mom in a family and all that kind of stuff. It's a subversion of something that was very patriarchal and very masculine into all of this other stuff and into more.
Polyamory does not equal not masculine. There's no emasculation in that. Because we don't even understand what the dynamic was other than the setup of the family having two fathers and one mother. We don't know what that dynamic was really. We didn't dive into it too heavily. So you automatically jumping in with the whole gay stuff or emasculation or all of them having sex together, none of that is anything that we saw presented on screen. None of that. This is how these channels function. This is the narrative shit that gets under my skin, is you are creating a bunch of stuff that just doesn't exist in the episode. It's not what the people said that wrote the episode. Like it's like you're creating a fantasy. Right now, you are creating a fantasy of something to get upset about that was not what we actually saw on screen.
Fetish content, which I've called it, and that's precisely what it is. But this is just going to be a short video, but this reminds me, though, of, like, the space witches from The Acolyte. Like, that was another area where they were trying to make a fantasy of a utopia where it was all lesbian space.
Star Wars is not utopia. Like, Star Wars as a fucking franchise, as an IP, has facets of everything. There's poverty. There's fascism. There's all kind. Like, it's not a utopia. What are you talking about?
Switches. That's what they were doing in Star Wars as well. It's all the same, but yeah,
it's funny that it's all like all these different creative teams kind of use similar story elements in the way we view media now, and somehow it's a coordinated effort from multiple groups of people that have literally no connection to each other. Somehow it's all just a coordinated effort. This is like conspiracy theory nonsense.
These writers, they try to make it out like it's just like, oh, we just thought that this would be a part of this world, and it never is. It's always the writers inserting their own fantasies into things and inserting.
Again, that's how writing works. The writers that write these fantasy things are inserting their own fantasy into it. That's literally what they're doing.
The way things that they would like them to be. Because this idea that there's somehow all these kids out there who have two fathers and one mom all married together in a family, and that they need to be represented on.
So it's like if they don't need to be anything, and you're being too literal about it. He's like the people that are saying this. If you look at the statement they made, which we just looked at, it's just seeing a different type of family. That's the statement that was being made. Like the people out there that have different types of parental setups. Like that's just the statement. Like he's not saying that every single person that watches it has to identify with that type of a relationship or that type of family upbringing. There's lots of people out there that grew up in a one-parent household that every once in a while like to see TV shows where there is a one-parent household so they can sort of feel like they understand what that relationship is like. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean it's every family is like that or that that's what they want everything to be. It just means that this type of family exists. That's it.
Green. That's a load of bollocks, if you don't mind me saying. Yeah, this is the writer's fetishes. It's the writer's fantasies of how they would like things to be in this stuff. And they want you to believe that it's all...
I'm going to title this video, Jesterbell Has a Foot Fetish, because apparently now what we can do is we can just say people have fetishes with no proof whatsoever, and that's just okay. So since she talked about feet in this video and a foot fetish, I'm just going to say that she allegedly has a foot fetish, even though she went as far in this video to say that she's definitively certain that it is a fetish. I'm just going to say allegedly she has a foot fetish.
Just about inclusivity. It's It's not. It's not. That's not what it is whatsoever.
There's no evidence whatsoever.
It's all just the subversion of the original stuff of Star Trek. It's all of the pushing of the way they wish things were. And I wonder, and this is a very...
You know what's funny is that's how it works when you're trying to make the world a better place. You know, for whatever it is, I guess, in this situation, is people do things that they think it's going to equal some sort of like better outcome. Whether they're doing the right thing or not, I think a lot of times individuals in charge of creating things do want to make the world a better place. And if including one family out of the millions of families that we see in TV as a family that has two fathers and one mother in an alien species is enough to set you off to the point where you have to just accuse the writers of having a fetish, then I think that's just a complete illiteracy to media criticism.
Very short video. I just wanted to correct myself. I wonder in the future how this time in media is going to be looked back on and how we're going to look back on these trends, you know.
Well, for one, they're going to look back at you guys and just talk about how stupid you are. Like, you're going to be the guys that everybody looks back at and they're like, who the fuck were these idiots? That's what's going to happen. I know you probably don't care, but they're going to look back at this little blip in history and go, you know, there was a time where people got on the internet and complained about every single little thing pedantically and made up lies in order to get clicks and ad revenue on YouTube. That's what's going to happen.
I think that there's going to be 3 shows in particular, maybe even 2 shows. I think that The Acolyte and Starfleet Academy in particular are going to be looked back on prime examples of where we were, like, in this time of entertainment and the kind of stuff that was getting pushed and how things were being changed and
based on everything we know about Jesterbell, I would say that you're going to be absolutely wrong because you're wrong about almost everything. So if you've got money to burn, go ahead and take that bet. I wouldn't take it.
I think that these are the 2 shows in particular. And you notice the trends. You notice the trends. It's you know, Leslie Headland was lesbian. Her wife actually starred on The Acolyte. She creates, you know, a lesbian utopia for these space witches, essentially, that gets crashed in on by a character who is...
Again, not a utopia. I don't know why you keep saying that. Not a utopia. They were literally hiding out. But okay.
Supposed to be representative of her father and destroyed. And, you know, this show has Klingons with 2 dads and a mom and all of this kind of stuff. And it just...
Yeah, so does the person that wrote it have to... Because a minute ago you said that Leslie Headland did it because of the lesbian thing. What reason did this group do it? Like the writers for Starfleet Academy? Did they have 2 dads and 1 mom? Or are you just selectively choosing where to be a bigot at in your criticism? I'm not sure. It's not all coming together for me.
Really amounts to the writers wish casting how they would like things to be and how they would like things changed.
That's what writers do.
How they would like this to be the new normal.
That's what writers do.
You know, it's a bit more niche to their lifestyle. Right. But anyway, this is part of the problem.
Yeah, that's what writers do. They write the things that they want to write because they want to put it out to the world, and you know, maybe a little bit of them goes out in it. That's the kind of writing I want. I want writers to write things that come from their heart. And then let us take it in and see whether it resonates with us or not. I don't need people to hold back and not give us 100%. I would never want a writer to go, I'm going to give you 75% because 25% of it might be looked at in a way where bigots get mad that I showed my you know, something about my culture, my community in it or whatever. I don't want that. Give me 100%.
With Starfleet Academy and The Acolyte is that these people would like, you know, are fantasizing about how they would like things to be, you know, relative to how they're living. But that's not how most people are living. And so people... Well,
they're fantasy worlds that take place in space. So I don't think anyone's living like that. And secondly, it doesn't matter if everybody's living that way or not. What a privileged fucking statement. Just so privileged.
Aren't relating to this stuff. They're largely rejecting it. And in fact...
So wait, hold on. Let me run that back. One of the things that these people complain about is that visibility and representation doesn't matter. But here, she's appealing to that. She's making an appeal to that by saying people don't resonate with it. They can't identify with that. So is it the fact that you're mad that people make things that reflect their identity? Or are you mad that people are making things that don't reflect your identity? And you're admitting that that's a problem here. Because if one thing comes out that isn't exactly like you live your life, you have a crash out. But yet we are supposed to just sit back and take all of it. No matter what it is, just lap it up, consume it. It's actually funny to me. I'm going to go a little rant here. It's actually funny to me that this entire community calls what we do just consume, when what you're asking us to do is give up things that we do identify with, things that we do consider to be more than just general consumption. Give that up so that they can pander to you, and then we're supposed to just continue to consume whatever that pandering is. That's the argument you're making. Let's listen to what she has to say. That is the argument she's making here.
People would like, are fantasizing about how they would like things to be, relative to how they're living, but that's not how most people are living. And so people aren't relating to this stuff. They're largely rejecting it. And in fact, with Starfleet Academy, this stuff just becomes laughable. It goes
right. So they're rejecting it because they can't relate to it. Way to really nail down the opposite side of the argument that you make. Really interesting there.
So far, it's laughable. It's like, it feels like someone who's trying to mock people, mock modern entertainment, be like, oh, the Klingon is gay and he has 2 gay dads.
But he's not gay. Are you that fucking illiterate? I can almost promise you, if he ends up being a gay character and he comes out on the show, she's going to be one of the first people that's going to complain about it. She's going to be one of the first ones, even though she keeps saying it, she'll complain about the fact that he has to come out for being gay on the show.
And a mom. It sounds like a parody someone would come up with. And, this thing, with them pushing it, I think it backfires for them because, the space witches in the song Power of One, Power of Many gets so mocked. And now this is getting mocked as well. I think it backfires where they go so far with their fantasies under the guise that it's just about being inclusive that once again, it just becomes laughable.
So your suggestion is that if we want progress to happen, we should just shut up, not push the envelope a little bit, and take whatever crumbs that the heteronormative world is willing to give us. I reject that. Again, I reject it. It's 2026. I've said this before, fam. Fuck that. Put more gay shit and stuff. I hope every single character in Starfleet Academy is gay. Just because it would make you crash out. I hope they're all gay. Matter of fact, I hope that everybody has a gay relationship and gay kisses on TV. I want it to all be gay. Matter of fact, I want one of them to have a phaser that shoots a rainbow. I want a starship to have rainbow paint all over it. I want trans teleporters so that when you teleport, the colors of the teleporter are the trans pride flag. That's what I want on the show. And it's not even because I need it. It's only because it's in spite of you guys. Just once. Give us an episode like that. I would be fine with that. I would have no problem with that. Just to get under the skin of these bigots.
But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. And if you're mad at me for this video, I am exhausted. I wish that I was not doing videos about gay Klingons and with their 2 dads and 1 mom and all this kind of stuff, but it was not my fault that as times changed, the franchises I grew up with all went in this direction. And so if you want to talk about nerd stuff anymore, this is what you have to talk about. And
it's really funny to me because you guys were celebrating the death of wokeness when Trump was elected. This whole community was celebrating the death of wokeness. Woke is dead. Trump is elected 2025. Woke is dead. We're in 2026 and woke is back, baby.